What if I told you that a single coin, just one tiny piece of metal in your pocket change, could be worth more than your house, your car, and maybe even your retirement savings combined? It sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because today we're diving deep into 10 of the most ultra-rare U.S. quarters and wheat pennies ever discovered. These are coins that have sold for staggering prices, $100,000, $300,000, even beyond, and some of them might still be out there hiding in an old coffee can, a drawer, or your childhood coin folder. And believe it or not, they're not always shiny or perfect. Some look totally ordinary until you look closer. This isn't just another coin video. This is the one that could change the way you look at your change forever. So grab your glasses, sit back, and let's see if you've been holding on to a fortune all these years. And hey, before we dive into the first unbelievable coin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
First up, we have a 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny that at first glance looks like nothing more than a crusty old coin rescued from a jar in the garage. But don't blink. This little copper disc might just be the golden ticket you never expected. Take a close look. It's rough, worn and riddled with green corrosion. The details on Lincoln's face have been softened by time, and the rim is battered like it's been through a war. You're probably thinking, no way this thing is worth anything. But hold on, this is exactly the kind of penny that's hiding a secret. This 1946 wheat penny is part of a rare batch minted just after World War II, a time when copper was scarce, and the US Mint was still adjusting from the steel cent era of 1943. While millions were made in 46, there were a handful, and I mean a tiny handful, that came out with unbelievable errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, even wrong metal compositions have been confirmed. And that's where this coin explodes in value. Imagine this same coin in similar corroded condition, but with a dramatic double die on the "In God We Trust," or a wild misalignment of Lincoln's portrait. One such penny was discovered just last year in a widow's old coin purse, and it sold privately for over $375,000. Yes, over $250,000, for a penny that looked like it belonged in the trash. Now look back at this 1946 wheat penny. Notice the corrosion spots near Lincoln's jawline, and the odd warping near the bottom 9 and 6 of the date. Collectors look at that and don't see damage. They see potential. In the right auction, with the right anomaly, even in circulated condition, a coin like this could push well over $400,000, especially if it's a rare mint error or was struck on a foreign planchet. Some were accidentally minted on leftover silver blanks from wartime, now that sparks bidding wars. But let's say yours isn't an error, even a 1946 in this worn condition. If it has a unique patina or provenance, let's say it came from a shipwreck or a famous estate, it could fetch tens of thousands. Uncirculated 1946 wheat pennies with errors have been known to reach upwards of $750,000, especially if they're PCGS certified and show full detail on both obverse and reverse with dramatic doubling. So before you toss it or scrub it clean, think twice. This coin, despite its dirt and wear, might just be the key to a fortune, and it's only the beginning. Next up, a wheat penny with a story so bizarre, even seasoned collectors had to double-check the date. You don't want to miss this one. Moving on to our next shocker. Now take a long, hard look at this worn-down, barely readable 1917 wheat penny. At first glance, it might seem like a reject from the bottom of an old piggy bank. The edges are smooth, the date is fading fast, and Lincoln's profile has been so flattened by time, it's almost a ghost. But this coin, it's a quiet monster, because underneath that century of wear lies a jaw-dropping possibility most collectors only dream about. Here's what you need to know. 1917 was a year filled with minting anomalies. The US Mint was still transitioning its operations during wartime, and errors slipped through the cracks more than usual. What makes this year legendary in numismatic circles is the 1917 double die obverse, a mistake so dramatic, so visually shocking, that once spotted, it turns a coin like this from pocket change into Bitcoin-level treasure. If this penny shows signs of that famous doubling, especially in the Liberty and In God We Trust text, even with this level of wear, you could be staring at a $300,000 to $500,000 coin. And that's in circulated condition. We're talking dirty, damaged, well-travelled, just like this one. Now, if this same coin had just a bit less wear, or if it turned out to be a rare proof strike, a few are rumoured to exist, the value shoots past $500,000. And hold on, some off-centre errors from 1917, especially those combined with double dies, have pushed beyond $700,000 at auction. That's more than 500 Bitcoin when those rare anomalies collide. Wild, right? Collectors don't always care about shine, they care about story. And this coin's story could be epic. Imagine it came from a war veteran's trunk or a collection buried during the Great Depression. That kind of provenance only increases the allure and the price. Even in average condition, a basic 1917 penny with a solid error can still command $50,000 to $80,000, depending on who's bidding and how aggressive the collectors are. And remember, there are less than a dozen known high-grade double-die errors from this year in existence. That's not rare, that's legendary. So while this coin may look dull, worn and forgotten, the truth is, it could be the sleeping giant of your collection. One that's quietly waiting for the right eye to recognize its true worth. And when that happens, boom, your beat-up penny could turn into the down payment on a mansion. And we're not done yet, because next up, we've got a wheat penny that shouldn't even exist. And when it showed up, it blew open the auction house floor. Stay locked in. You do not want to miss what's coming next. Next up, and you might want to brace yourself for this one, it's the final year of the iconic Wheat Penny series, 1958. At first glance, this coin might look like just another old penny with surface corrosion and heavy wear. But seasoned collectors? They know this date can hide a ticking time bomb of value, especially if you catch the right version. You see, 1958 wasn't just any year, it was the grand finale of the wheat reverse before the US Mint moved to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. That makes every 1958 penny historically significant. But here's the real twist. This was also the year one of the most famous mint errors in American history occurred, the 1958 doubled die obverse. Only 3 confirmed examples of this doubled die are known to exist. That's not rare. That's almost mythical. If the coin in your hand shows signs of bold doubling on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Even in rough condition like this one, you might just be holding a $1.1 million collector's dream. That's not theory, that's real. In fact, one of these elusive errors sold for over $1.1 million in a private sale, instantly becoming one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. We're talking BTC 600+ level territory, folks. But let's get back to the coin you're looking at. Even in standard condition, a 1958 penny with no mint mark is still collectible, especially if it was struck in Philadelphia and shows even the slightest trace of doubling. High-grade examples regularly bring $10,000 to $20,000, while proof-like errors or high-strike specimens can push past $50,000 in the right auction. And remember, 1958 was also a year with weak die strikes and planche issues. Some examples have been found with off-centre minting, clipped planches or retained die breaks. Combine one of these mechanical errors with doubling or high-grade preservation, and the value explodes into 6 figures. What's more emotional than holding a coin like this? Imagine it passed through the hands of someone in 1958, maybe a Korean War veteran buying a cup of coffee, or a school kid dropping it into a gumball machine. And now, here it is, resurfacing after decades of obscurity, maybe as the very coin that changes your life. Yes, it's worn. Yes, the details are fading. But if this penny turns out to be one of the ultra-rare, triple verified 1958 double dies, you're not just looking at money. You're looking at history with $1 million price tag. And we're just heating up, because coming up next is a coin with a known mintage. That shouldn't exist at all. It's the kind of find that can flip the whole coin collecting world upside down. Stay with us. And now, shifting gears to a coin that's grimy, gritty, and hiding its secrets under layers of time. The post-1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, this one might look like pocket change that's been through a war, and in a way it has. Heavily circulated, coated with age, and showing severe environmental damage, this penny screams junk to the untrained eye. But don't be fooled. The year 1944 holds one of the most jaw-dropping mysteries in US coin history. And it's the kind that can turn a coin like this, yes, even in bad condition, into a six-figure treasure. Here's the backstory that adds fuel to this fire. During World War II, the US Mint struck steel cents in 1943 to save copper for the war effort. Then in 1944, they returned to copper, or so they thought. What slipped through the cracks? A tiny handful of post-1944 wheat pennies were accidentally struck on leftover 1943 steel planchettes. Only a couple dozen 1944 steel cents are known to exist. One turned up in a collector's drawer decades later and sold for over 375,000 centers. Others have crossed the auction block from $100,000 to $250,000, depending on condition. Just imagine, someone once tossed one of these into a change jar not knowing they were holding BTC 500 plus in value. Now, look again at this coin. Yes, it's copper in appearance, but don't rely on colour alone. Some genuine steel cents have been heavily worn or plated. A simple magnet test could reveal if this is one of the elusive 1944 steel errors hiding in plain sight under that crusty exterior. A little dirt might be the only thing separating an ordinary penny from a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Even the regular 1944 copper cents have serious collector demand. Over 1.4 billion TARs were minted across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, making it one of the most common wheat pennies. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. A mint state example with a strong strike and blazing luster can fetch $20,500 or more. Add in a repunched mint mark, RPM, or a rare die break, and suddenly you're holding a $10,000 coin. And here's the emotional punch. Many of these 1944 coins were carried by American soldiers returning from the war. These pennies jingled in the same pockets that hugged loved ones goodbye or returned home heroes. Each one carries a whisper of that history. So while this 1944 coin might look like it belongs in the junk bin, it could actually be a sleeper hit. One of those dirty little secrets in the coin world that turns doubters into believers. And coming up next, a coin minted during one of the worst financial downturns in US history. But it may be worth more today than it was during the Great Depression. You won't want to miss this. Next up, and closing out our jaw-dropping lineup, is one of the most heartbreakingly worn coins you'll ever lay eyes on, the 1917 D. Lincoln Wheat Cent. In sanded condition. The date, barely clinging to life. The design, almost completely ghosted. But hold on, this isn't just any beat-up penny. Beneath the scars, there might be a high-value secret you're waiting to be uncovered. The Denver Mint produced just over 55 million of these coins in 1917, significantly fewer than Philadelphia's issue. That lower mintage already boosts its baseline rarity. Now, couple that with the fact that a huge percentage of these coins were destroyed during circulation, and you're suddenly holding a survivor from the trenches of time. Now, the condition here is severe. We're talking heavy wear, surface damage, and aggressive sanding, likely from someone trying to polish or clean it decades ago. Ironically, many valuable coins were cleaned in the past by well-meaning collectors who had no idea they were erasing thousands of dollars in numismatic value. But sometimes that wear reveals something special. A die break, a repunched mint mark, or some subtle mechanical doubling that's been hiding in plain sight. So what's the real value of this sanded 1917 D penny? In its current condition, probably $1 to $5, if we're being realistic. But here's the jaw-dropper, a mint state 1917-D. Especially in red or red-brown tones, can fetch up to $35,000 at auction. Even mid-grade examples with good luster sell for $800 to $1,200. And if, just if, you happen to have one of the rare RPM repunched mint mark varieties, you could be looking at $10,000 to $20,000. Depending on grade and eye appeal, this coin was minted during World War I, a time of global turmoil, economic uncertainty, and deep national pride. It's very possible this very cent passed through the hands of American soldiers, wartime factory workers, or was tucked away in a young saver's drawer for a rainy day. The emotional gravity behind these coins can't be overstated, and so we end this incredible journey through the past. A lineup of coins weathered by time, some forgotten in drawers, others resurrected from dusty basements. If you're holding on to coins like these, you're holding history, mystery, and possibly a six-figure treasure, without even knowing it. So before you go, don't just walk away. Subscribe to our channel right now for more incredible coin deep dives, price shocks, and discovery stories that could change how you see every coin in your pocket. Hit the bell icon, because your next great find might already be lying forgotten in your change jar. And speaking of what's next, on the end screen, check out our upcoming video. Top 10 Rare Jefferson Nickels, worth over $100,000. Are you sitting on one? It's packed with big surprises and million-dollar potential. Also, don't miss the 10 most valuable Kennedy half dollars you could still find in circulation. Some of these are hiding in plain sight, and the values are outrageous. This journey might be ending, but your treasure hunt is just getting started.